Thanks for joining us on Indivisible. I'm your host, John Stubbins. We're thrilled to have you with us tonight, America. We're streaming live today on pill.net, freedomfirstnetwork.com, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. And all of California today, hopefully, is getting this show. I want to make sure that you guys know I've started doing this last show. Please subscribe to my show here on YouTube, and you can go to stubbins.org, or you can search Indivisible with John Stubbins, and also click the notifications bell so that you receive updates on the show. Before we get started today, I just wanted to take a moment and just a moment to send out prayers to the family of Rush Limbaugh. Yesterday, as everybody knows, he passed away, a great American pioneer, and really broke ground for so many people that are in this business that are trying to get news to you and give you conservative beliefs, conservative news, and a different side of the coin than the mainstream media is bringing you. So, to the great pioneer, Rush Limbaugh, you will be missed. I remember as a kid, I used to listen to Rush, and through my teenage years, and all the way up till yesterday. Anywhere I drive, I've got AM radio on. I'm listening to Rush Limbaugh and listening closely to what he has to say. He makes so much sense and cared so much about the American people, and he will indeed be missed. I also want to share, Sidney Powell sent me a message a couple of days ago. Her new site, she partnered with Mike Lindell and Joe Flynn. The new site is defendingtherepublic.org. Again, that is defendingtherepublic.org. So you want to check out that site as they get that up and running. And there's going to be a lot going on, obviously, as we get moving. And I know that she's got a case up that's being considered by the Supreme Court right now. So, America, and mainly California, this message today, this show today, is geared mainly towards the state of California, but it affects the entire nation, because what happened in California and what's about to happen in California is also happening in Georgia and Arizona and Michigan and other states. So let's talk for a minute. Nancy Pelosi's puppet, Gavin Newsom, has destroyed California. And if you live in California, you know that. When I lived there in the 80s, it was still a special place. You know, Dad and I used to watch the Rose Bowl every January 1st. And when we looked at California, it was so majestic, so beautiful. And then when I moved out there in the 80s, I got to experience that firsthand. And it really was a special place. You know, Disneyland was still magical. It was still pure. Law and order, taxes, all of these things were still good. Californians could live and do well. And they weren't stuck with this so-called, slick talker, Gavin Newsom, or someone like him. Since then, Gavin Newsom's taken over. We've got sanctuary cities. We've got homeless encampments everywhere, tent cities, drugs, BLM, Antifa, defund the police. It just goes on and on. The smelt, they worked so hard to save this tiny little smelt, and to do that, destroyed the functionality of the water supply in California. That was real bright. High taxes, the one come all philosophy of illegal aliens, crime, the forest fires. I mean, it just goes on and on and on with this guy. And he refuses to manage those forests, by the way. He won't do that, like President Trump suggested. So, we've got his friends, Doris Matsui, Adam Schiff, Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi. And by the way, this is Pelosi's puppet, Gavin Newsom. We've got Marxism. We've got the 1619 Project in our schools. All of this to make certain that the U-Haul company stays in business, right? It's funny how you can rent a U-Haul here in the Midwest for $100 or anywhere else practically in the country. But if you want to leave California or New York to go move somewhere else, you're looking at a cool $1,000 just to rent that same U-Haul. It's just ridiculous. They don't have enough U-Hauls to keep up with the exodus that's going on right now in the state of California. It's just that simple. And then we fast forward to the California 2020 election, which residents have zero faith in, by the way. Many people believe that California went red this cycle, the 2020 cycle. And we've got mail-in ballots. We've got these Dominion systems that were tested twice in the state of Texas. Both tests failed because they were error prone beyond belief and hack prone beyond belief. And Texas recognized that. And that's why states like Texas and Florida are so far ahead of the curve and so much smarter. And these people that use these Dominion systems, they got hosed. The only people that love it are obviously the Democrats, that they're all in on Dominion systems because it benefited them this cycle. So look, with that being said, we've got 12 congressional candidates and who filed a non-partisan. So this isn't about Republican. This isn't about Democrat. This is a non-partisan lawsuit that they filed. The EIPCa, which is the Election Integrity Project, California. And you can go to the website, fairandtransparentelections.com. I want to introduce my guest today. I've got James Bradley, Chris Bish, and Mike Cargile. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you, John.
Thank you very much.
We're thrilled to have you, and we've obviously got a lot to talk about. I want to make sure that you guys, are heard. I want the state of California to know what's going on. By the way, I've got your information rolling at the bottom, so all of you can see that. If you need to get in contact with Mike, with Chris, with James, please do so. I think I'll start with you, Mike. What do you think about what I had to say there in my opening monologue? Am I on the money here?
Yes, I think you're spot on, John. However, I would say that the relevance of this to the nation is even more profound than what you said, because the power base, you think about that. The House Majority Leader is from California. The House Minority Leader is from California. And you think about Adam Schiff and Maxine Waters, they're all from California. Joe Biden's vice president from California. Where is he pulling his talent pool from? From California. So like the old saying goes, as California goes, so goes the nation.
Yes.
Which, again, this is the biggest opportunity the United States has had in decades to fix California. Because if we can fix California at the ballot box, then we change the nation. And I can't stress how important our lawsuit is to the future of the United States, especially when you look at what we're about to deal with. And I'll let one of these guys handle it. But we've got the greatest recall election happening here, the biggest number of volunteers in history putting together an attempt to get rid of the worst governor in the country. And it's really all on the shoulders of us right now in this lawsuit to safeguard this effort. So I'm going to hand off to one of them.
Yeah, well, Eric Swalwell says everything's just fine out there.
Of course he does. And it is for Eric Swalwell. And people are wondering, why aren't we getting a fair shot in the courts? And I can tell you, most of these judges are elected, and they're elected by the very machines that did what they did in November. So these judges don't want people looking inside the system that put them in office. The same with the politicians. And this goes to both sides of the aisles, Republicans and Democrats. They don't want a hard look inside the system that put them in office.
Yeah, well, guess what? That's too bad, because we want to look inside those systems. And speaking of that, I've got some news for the three of you and for the other 9 congressional candidates that are a part of this lawsuit. I got some information before the show today, about 5 minutes before we went on, that you're going to have some cyber ops help on these Dominion systems coming your way for this lawsuit. So I wanted to share that with you.
Woo, that's awesome.
Perfect.
That's exciting.
We need it.
What do you think, Chris?
You know what? I think it's long overdue. And, I'm going to interject here in Sacramento, because I've been working on the voting systems in California for back in October is when I really got into looking at our voting systems. We did have one judge here in Sacramento in a grand jury investigation in March of 2020 order the audit of our voting systems here in Sacramento County. And that judge had ordered that the audit be done prior to the presidential election. It needed to be completed by September 30th, 2020, before the presidential election. And we're still trying to get to the bottom. It appears that someone at Homeland Security actually decided to delay it until after the first of the year.
Oh, there's a surprise.
Yes.
A surprise. James, let me get your take on this. What do you think?
I think it's wonderful news, by the way. We need all the help we can get here in California. As you know, even though we're the quote unquote fifth largest economy in the world, which I believe it's not the fifth any longer by virtue of the lockdown. But I want to kind of set the stage for everybody. This has been going on for decades in California.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the privilege, and it was quite an experience when I ran against Dianne Feinstein in 2018. And in that election alone, it really opened my eyes. That was my introduction to politics. And when I realized that, and coming from the medical and the technology space, there's always a footprint of what happens in anything electronic, and more importantly in these elections. So I caught wind of some nefarious activities going back in 2018, my introduction, and things didn't add up, as it hasn't for any other candidate, because we watched the incumbents sit back, collecting their money and not spending a dime, if just a little bit of money on their campaigns. And why? Because they knew that these systems were so many irregularities to the point where it was almost rigged. And that's what we're fighting and digging into the forensic side of this whole election experience, to find the footprints, to find out where, what, and who, and when. So as we go on this journey together as patriots that want free, fair, transparent elections, it's important for you all to know that we have patriots on the front line, like Mike Cargile, like Chris Bish, like John Steubens. He's a relentless warrior that we're fighting on your behalf. We're going to take the hard knocks, and we're going to continue to fight regardless of what opposition we are met with. Because what's in the White House has been predicted and planned for several years now. We know what's rigged. We're going to get to the evidence. We're going to present the evidence in court and also to the public court.
Yeah.
So stand by for some exciting news.
Yeah. And by the way, Dianne Feinstein, she has a lot of nerve. People like her and Eric Swalwell, they make me want to puke. They stand up with, this, like they make the American public believe that they're holier than thou, that they stand above the fray, and all the while, they're dirty. all the while, you've got Swalwell in bed, with a Chinese agent.
Literally.
You've got Feinstein's driver, and I think there was more to that. Look, these people, they always point the finger at conservatives, but it's the same thing with every single issue. It's projection.
Exactly.
They want to project onto you what they are doing. It's look at the shiny ball over here while I rob you blind over here. Why I steal your taxpayer money. While
John,
I defraud the state. While I get in bed with China.
Yeah.
Corruption. Right. And the people in America have had it.
Yes.
They've had it.
John, I have to jump in and tell you, the Democrats cannot take all of the credit for this, because the Republicans have, the leadership has sat by and let this happen. We saw this with the Lincoln Project, where they tried to usurp our president.
That's right.
And partnered with these people that want to tear down our country. So we have to distribute the blame evenly. And that's part of the Patriots that are working for free and fair elections. Is we're not just taking on the Democrats, we're taking on the Republican establishment that are not acting like patriots. They are not doing what's best for the country, or the candidates that are willing to step up and fight for our freedoms.
Well, guess what? And we've talked about this for weeks now. And a lot of it still hasn't come out yet because the investigation is still ongoing. But here's the facts. Whether people like it or not, 75% of Congress is subject mob RICO. Okay? The DOJ, the FBI, our courts, you can't trust any of it. That's how corrupt to the core this is. Okay? We're talking about, trillions of dollars stolen from the Obama Oval Office, the Obama Biden White House, okay, that to this day goes down to the local level in over 600 counties in America, which does affect the election, because these people, they don't want to be caught. They don't want to go to prison.
That's true.
And they know they're dirty. And we know they're dirty.
Well, I can tell you right now, as far as I'm concerned, I will not be stopped. I will not be intimidated, and I will not be silenced. So
it's going to take the American, and I'll tell you what, it's going to take the American people, and we may have to replace these people. We may have to form a new Congress. We may have to form new courts, a new FBI, a new DOJ, because the cancer is so deep, the corruption is so deep, that I don't see how you can do anything fairly.
I have more faith than you do. I don't think we have to reinvent the wheel. We just got to clean it.
Well, let me say this to you, Chris. Okay, Senator Ron Johnson, Wisconsin, Homeland Security chief there. He has been, Devin Nunes, Jim Jordan, they've been demanding through FOIA requests information, whether it was on the FISA abuse, the Russia hoax, all of what we're talking about now, for years. For 5 years, they've been demanding those documents. Where are those documents? Why aren't they being turned over? They're not being turned over because they want to slow walk it, because they know when we get those documents, it exposes the people that are subject mob RICO, their criminality.
No, you're exactly right, John. And right now we have to fight the fight that God has put in front of us. I'm very thankful for James Bradley, who is spearheading this effort here as an attempt to pierce this dark veil put up by both political parties. Right now, we are silenced by the California GOP. They are not helping us. They're not even mentioning us. And we have leadership in the California GOP. We're about to go into a convention to reelect people who are anti-Trump. And you got to ask yourself, why on earth would a state that went overwhelmingly for Trump want to reelect people in charge who are anti-Trump? Well, the only way that happens is if it's rigged. And they have a proxy system here that I've learned about upon entering into the political arena that's geared towards keeping incumbents in office. It's the same thing we're dealing with across the nation.
And Mike, the other thing here to consider is that, and I'm going to split this up because even though this lawsuit is nonpartisan, when you split up the two parties, you look at the Democrats, whether it's criminality, it doesn't matter what they do, they stick together. Okay. They're going to stick together all the way down the line. Okay. Even if they all go down, they're going to go down together. The difference with the Republicans is that they eat each other alive. They don't support one another. They don't talk to one another. They don't promote one another. They put each other down. Look at people like Mitt Romney. Okay. Mitt Romney makes me sick. I mean, who is this guy?
Right.
All he does is cause havoc. Susan Collins is another one. Look, these people, if they don't want to do the people's business, then get out, because the American people have had it. They're done.
John, you are looking at the new face of the Republican Party, because we are united. And when we elect Steve Frank as the new chair of the California Republican Party, you are going to see a rebirth of this party that is unified. Candidates like me and Mike and James, we are leading the way for a coalition of candidates that are working together. It's not going to be a free-for-all anymore. We are going to change it. You're breaking the news here. It's we're ending the divide.
Good. That's what I want to hear. And James, can you do me a favor? Can you list the other congressional candidates that are on this lawsuit besides you, Mike, and Chris? I know it's Asia Smith, and we've got Eric Early, and so many others. Can you list them?
In the chat box, or what do you?
No, just out loud.
Oh, sure, I can do that. I love doing that. I love to promote my fellow patriots.
Please.
So let me go to that page, because I get a memory issue. That happens with age, by the way. Second thing to go is the memory, and you can't remember the first.
Right.
No, and John, James is humble, but he really does deserve the credit for spearheading this and the idea of developing a candidate coalition. James running for Senate, and he would be one of the best senators we've had in decades if we can get him in office, because he really is a leader, but even more so, he's a team player. And I think that's going to be crucial with what you just said, developing a coalition. We have to build a party within a party, kind of like, that there is in Congress with a number of very conservatives, because that's the issue we're fighting here, is a Republican Party that wants to be liberal and conservative, or a party that wants to be purely conservative.
Well, let's get it done, California. Look, there are organizations that should come together as a conglomerate. I don't care if it's Back the Blue. I don't care if it's these people that, our first responders, other people other congressional candidates, or people that aspire to be congressional candidates on the conservative side, Christians, veterans, military personnel. All these groups need to come together. And by the way, let me ask you guys this. Who are the candidates right now that are running for governor when this recall effort against Newsom comes up? Who do you guys know that's on the foray there? I think Errol Weber, if I'm not mistaken, is running. Who else is running out there?
Major Williams. We have John Cox that ran for governor in 2018. I think it's Mayor Falcone. And we're waiting for a surprise.
Okay.
Well, we also have Diego Martinez. We have Grover for candidate, Michael Grover Coltrane.
Okay.
Okay. He's running. There are several other people that are throwing their hat in the ring. But I can tell you that the leadership that you are talking about, it goes back to the chair of the California Republican Party. And I believe we are unified in supporting Steve Frank to take over the party.
Okay.
We have watched the current leadership to the demise of California and to the demise of the party focus on fundraising, not recruiting candidates and unity.
Hey, Chris, may I add something real quick?
Yeah.
I think our focus is one, we're making a very powerful statement to everyone out there now. It's the old listen, learn, lead. We have listened. We have learned by the mistakes of those that were before us, and now it's time to lead. Everyone that's not part of this, and I'll go through the list, those that are part of the plaintiff in the suit. We all agreed that the system is broken on both sides. We're not kind of designed from the victim mindset. So by listening, learning, and leading, now taking the leadership role for this new Republican face, we are the citizens like you, struggled through the years just to survive, protect our families, and now the future of our families. So that's what you're seeing is such a civic movement to take over what is deeded to us through our Constitution, our forefathers. So we're out there on the front lines speaking to you and be your voice in Washington, D.C. this next election cycle. So with that said, if we could overturn the election, great. That would be an amazing feat. But we're realistic in our pursuits. We're trying to clean up the election process.
Yes.
That's
and look, the mail-in ballot thing. I see that. I saw that Gavin Newsom went on the record yesterday to let everybody know he's highly encouraging those mail-in ballots for this recall effort. Isn't that convenient?
Sure.
By the way, James, did you have that list?
I do.
I know that Buzz Patterson is on that list. Like I said, Asia Smith, Eric Early. Name the rest of them, please.
Sure. We have Allison Hayden. She ran against Eric Swalwell. We have a great gentleman I've actually met with, Jeff. What's his last name? Jeff
Gorman?
Yeah.
Gorman.
Jeff Gordon. That's right.
Gordon. Okay.
Then we have Mark Reed. Mark Reed went against the known communist, and he went 5 election cycles. This guy's a wealth of information on how broken our system is. And of course, you mentioned Buzz Patterson. We have Chris Bish, Mike Cargile. We have Kevin Cookingham, Greg Raths. Greg Raths is a true patriot. I believe he was a colonel. Am I correct, Michael?
I believe so.
We have Johnny Nalbanian, and we have a superstar, a trooper. Her name's Rhonda Kennedy. She ran in Ventura County. Now, this is the force. This is the face. These are the folks that are going to take back what is yours.
Yeah.
We the people.
Yes. And I've got a couple questions here from our audience. One of the questions, they want to know if any of my guests are familiar with the 2019 AGMT between Santa Clara City and Dominion that allows staff to adjust the tally based on a review of a scanned ballot images. Anybody aware of that?
I'm not, but that's very important information. I recommend they can reach out to any of us here, or you can talk to me directly. I can give you my information. That's very valuable.
Yes. Yeah. So if you're listening, audience, please reach out to James, to Mike, to Chris. Their information is scrolling below. They'd like to have that information on Santa Clara City and Dominion that
It's
allows staff to adjust the
Clara,
tally?
it's Santa Clara County. It's Santa Clara County.
I'm sorry, Santa Clara County.
Yes, I'm
That
actually
allows
working with
staff
the
to adjust the
team.
tally based on a review of scanned ballot images.
Yes.
And I've got another audience member that wanted to shout out to you, James. Vet Corp 125. He says he met you at the California GOP convention 2018. Wanted to say hello.
Oh, thank you.
He also said that he helped Aaron Cruz with initial recall that failed. So anyway, look, I want to find out a little bit about the lawsuit itself. Can you tell the audience a little bit about the lawsuit, where it stands now, and what are we looking at on a timeline as to where it's going?
Well, Chris, you have a good handle on that, Chris. So go ahead and take her away, young lady.
Okay, here we go. Be
careful what you can and cannot share.
I know how to keep a secret. Okay, no, basically what's going on is we are challenging, we have several causes of action in the lawsuit. You can go to Election Integrity Project and actually download the lawsuit and see all of our causes of action.
You can see that on our website as well.
Yes, on the websites as well. Thank you.
Yes, and by the way, folks, that's scrolling at the bottom. You'll see Chris's information, Mike's information, James's information, their websites, and then also you will see the website. You can go to the website. It's fair and transparent elections.com. Go to that website and you can download the lawsuit and look at it for yourself. Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, so, this is multifaceted. Not only are we challenging the vote count county by county, we're also looking at what was the origin of the voting systems across the 40 counties. How did we end up in California in such a short amount of time with 40 counties all going with the same voting and tabulation system? Where the money came from, what the ties were that created this perfect storm. And it did start prior to the 2018 election, which may very well explain Gavin Newsom, and her little Aunt Nancy. We are addressing the vote by mail. And the recent passage here in California, they've decided to make it permanent. And there are a lot of problems with vote by mail that we are addressing. I believe we're getting ready to make an amendment to our complaint because there are chain of custody issues. Judicial Watch had won a lawsuit down in Southern California, down in LA, to help purge our system, our voting rolls down there and clean it up. Well, they've been resisting. They've been finding ways around it. Our Secretary of State was deliberately making changes to usurp that lawsuit. So this is another thing that's included in our case. We are literally taking on the corrupt election machine that is in California, and we will be the example for the rest of the country. We have a group like nobody else in the country. None of these other lawsuits have put together a group of patriots with knowledge and information. I'm bringing together my technical team that I started in, back in prior to the presidential election. You knew how involved I was in that. And my background as an investigator is just vital to this entire lawsuit. We are getting ready to make an amendment to our complaint. I can tell you most of the 13 counties that we are fighting, they have lawyered up, and they're trying to bury the bodies, if you will.
Good. Thank you, Chris. And by the way, I had a couple other audience members. Linda, she says this needs to happen in all the battleground states, and I agree with that. Also, James, you can read the YouTube comments later. B3 AR Arms He says that you guys need to talk, so you can maybe get back to him later.
Yeah,
I
I know.
want to bring on a surprise guest. I've got Eric Early, who just chimed in. How you doing, Eric?
Doing great, John. How you doing?
Welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Well, let me pump up Eric. Eric and I are brothers like Elvis.
James, I know John. I've been on with John before, so.
Oh, that's right. So yeah, they know who you would tackled there. And actually, I believe strongly. Here's the news flash: Trump won California.
Yes, he did.
Well,
California went red.
I believe it's possible. We don't know what happened with the voting out here, frankly. But whatever it wasn't good.
No.
You know?
So like
No.
a true
Eric, do you want to chime in on the lawsuit here?
Sure. I missed the beginning of the show, so I don't want to be too repetitive. But even though I'm an attorney, I'm a practicing attorney. I'm not the lawyer in this case. We got a really good lawyer who you probably heard about already, who's handling this case. Like James and Chris and Mike and several other people, I'm a former congressional candidate. John, as you know, I ran against James's friend Adam Schiff.
Yes.
And, not James's friend.
I can't stand. Listen, when it comes to Adam Schiff, I have a tier system
Yeah.
for people that I despise in the swamp.
Yeah.
And Adam Schiff is at the top of that list.
No doubt, dude. He's a piece of human garbage, and I frankly think he's in the top 5 or 10 of the worst elected officials this country's ever had in our history.
I
And
agree, Eric.
That's quite a lineup to be in the top 5 or 10 of. And,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, we had an incredible campaign. My campaign, just an amazing campaign. I could go on and on, but we know that we didn't get all the votes that we were supposed to get. And that's why I wanted to be part of this lawsuit. In California, to your listeners and viewers out there, so many people around the country would not know it based on the vote totals, based on the what we have running this state, based on what the mainstream media allows people to know and not know. But we have millions of conservatives in this state, all over the place. Even here in what I call the belly of the beast, which is Los Angeles County, who supported not only the candidates who are on your show today, but supported the president big time. And
Yes.
so we know in our bones, besides other things, that what has been going on with the voting and the vote counting, primarily in this state, is not right. And this lawsuit has been filed to do whatever we can to try and get to the bottom of it, to help us, all of us, in our quest to turn this state around. Because, as you know, and as so many of your viewers know, this state has been taken into the into the cellar by these terrible, these jokers, these far left clowns running the state right now. We got to take it back. We got to rip it out from the roots. We got to shake it out, and we got to rebuild it. And there are millions of people in California who believe this. You see the success of the Recall Gavin Newsom movement, which I'm very happy to be a part of. And, so that's why I'm very happy to be part of this lawsuit. We got to do something out here.
And listen, I know that, I think last time I heard, as of last night, there's 1.5 million signatures there.
Yeah.
More.
Are there more than that, Chris?
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, there's about 1.5-ish or so. The way it works is we need about 1.5 certified signatures to get the recall and ballot. We're convinced we're going to get that, but the word certified is the issue, because you get a lot of duplicate signatures. You might get a signature somebody turns out not to be properly registered to vote, or whatever. So all of these signatures have to be vetted by the authorities out here. So we're working on getting at least 1.8 million signatures to deal with the relatively small percentage that drops out. Everybody's working on this, is confident it's going to happen. I'm lucky. I've been brought in by the 2 guys running Recall Gavin 2020 named Orrin Heatley and Mike Netter. These guys are incredible. They're not politicos. They started this movement. the movement, and they have a team of over 1,000 volunteers all around this state. They are amazing, and they are doing the impossible out here. We've never had anything like this in America, frankly. Yes, we had recalled, Gray Davis about a decade or so ago, but at that time, he only needed about 750,000 signatures, which was a lot to do that. This one we need, like I said, about 1.5. And these, what Orrin and Mike and that entire team have done is amazing.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, Eric, and I'm familiar with having those signatures, duplicates and all this stuff. Look, I would shoot for 3 million. I would shoot for, if you guys can get 2.5 million, just to ensure that the Democrats or anybody else that wants to throw a monkey wrench in the system isn't going to be able to do so.
Nobody's arguing with you. The deadline is March 15th or 17th. So everybody's working, full bore to get as many as humanly possible. So
at least 2.
Yeah,
if we could get at least 2 million, I'd feel a lot
better. In that direction, both of you. I want to acknowledge Chris Bish. He's the Northern California operations for the recall effort. And the interesting fact we should also mention, Eric, is that many of those that are signing are Democrat.
Oh, yes. It's all across the board. People are sick of this guy out here. John, if you saw what was going on the ground here in California, you'd be you'd be stunned. I mean, the lockups that they've done here, the lockdown. I know everybody on this call has been shouting out for months that we could have been unlocked months ago with safety measures in place.
Sure.
Now you compare what's going on here to what's going on in Florida, where they've handled just the opposite, and yet you have the same amount of whatever. Now the schools out here in LA County, largest county in the country, still locked down. On and on. You got this homelessness epidemic. Our schools are the worst, or almost the worst in the nation, with like the highest taxes in the nation. It just goes on, and this Newsom, who's a joke, and that whole cabal running the state have really damaged us terribly. So people are pissed off, and it's going across the board.
Well,
John,
there's more to this homeless problem.
The sanctuary cities, the tent cities.
Oh yeah,
drugs, the illegal aliens coming. I mean, it just never ends. This guy, look, this guy goes out to save a smelt about this big.
Yes,
hurts the entire water supply for the citizens of California. Why there wasn't immediate outrage and a recall effort at that moment just blows me away.
Well, let me just stop you there. I guarantee you're speaking for all of us on here, but when you're living out here, you realize that none of this information gets through to the populace out here.
At all.
We have a mainstream media out here that
is a blackout media here.
Over all this information. It's really a miracle that the recall movement has gathered this much steam in this environment where the mainstream media wants to prevent anybody from knowing, for example, what you just said.
I've got a great idea. I've got a way to solve this. Okay. Everybody's got apps for everything on their phone. Obama gave out free phones so he could communicate with BLM so that they would know when to gather and cause destruction and burn cities down. I've got an idea for good. Why don't conservatives in California, wherever, design an app so that we can get the message out to the American people?
I thought you were going to say give out free phones out here.
That's where he was going
to. Just a simple app.
Those are called Obama phones. We'll call them Stubbins phones.
Right, Stubbins phone. Look, what we need, though, is the ability to get, because we know what the media, I believe me, I get it. It's happening in New York. It's happening, even in places like, Oregon, Washington. Look, we know what the media is doing. So we've got to find a smart way to go around them and get the truth to the American people. Why not do it through an app?
Yeah, there's actually been quite a few companies that have developed apps that are coming out today. But we have to be cognizant of what? we got a conservative, we got all voices need to be heard. All voices need to be heard without censorship or what's happening as we're experiencing with big tech. And not all big tech is bad, mind you. They're getting smeared as well. But there are those that, everyone knows, and reading in the news. So I want to reiterate the fact that we are the new leadership of the party, number one. Two, we're not waiting to get into office to bring action and sanity into the system.
Good. That shows leadership, James.
Well, I give it to God and all these folks right here. And you, by the way, John. Thank you. But the most important thing is every citizen needs to know there's still hope. Don't give up on what we're doing here. Be part of this. Join this movement. This is truly a renaissance.
Yes.
We're going from the dark ages into the new bright future. It's good that all these other nefarious characters are exposing themselves. Let them do it.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Chris,
John, I just want to go back to the homeless issue. We have a problem, and this homeless problem in California is going to grow exponentially because right now this governor has put a moratorium on evictions and foreclosures. And with our economy going down, with these lockdowns, it's locked people out of jobs, artificially low interest rates. We are being set up for another crash in California because you cannot abuse the landlords the way they've been abused by saying that, they can't collect rents, you can't evict people. And eventually that has to end. It's, socialism, it only lasts until people's money runs out. And I am going to predict a huge homeless problem when that comes to fruition.
Well, and let me add this, Chris, because for instance, the DA down in Los Angeles, I'm trying to remember his name.
Gascon. He's a designer.
Gascon. Okay.
He
comes out about a week ago and says that regarding the 3-strike rule, that he's not going to enforce it.
Yep.
A higher court judge came in and said, yes, you are.
That's right.
But this guy is going to resist all along the way. These people are openly campaigning still for defund the police, Marxism, the 1619 Project, you name it. And here's what's going to happen and what's happening right now. People are leaving California in droves.
Yeah.
Just like I said in my opening monologue. They can't get the U-Hauls fast enough.
Yeah, John, let me give you a little context, some of the stuff you just said, just from being on the ground here. First of all, I called a friend of mine 2 days ago just to chat. I saw him appearing on a Zoom that I was on. There were a lot of names. I called him to see how he was doing. He said, Eric, I'd love to vote for you in your next race. And by the way, I haven't announced what I'm running for yet. I'm still thinking about that. But he said, but I just moved to San Antonio, Texas. And this is what we're seeing, that more and more great people from out here are leaving. Now, when it comes to that DA you just described, it's really stunning what's happening. LA County, largest county in the nation, bigger than, I believe, all but 5 states in the nation.
Yes.
Elected in this last election cycle a district attorney named George Gascon. Frankly, I believe he was elected through improper voting shenanigans as well.
I bet.
George Gascon is an out-and-out communist.
He is.
George Gascon is not shy about saying that he will do everything to protect criminals. He's all about rehabilitation, which means just emptying prisons. And he could give a damn about victims. We've never seen anything like this out here.
He's John Brennan. He's John Brennan in L.A.
Well, don't get me started on John Brennan. I believe John Brennan is one of the biggest treasonous SOBs this nation's ever seen. I could go on and on. I could go on and on about that guy. Back in the day, dude, he would have been in front of a firing squad.
Yes, he would. Yes, he would, Eric. Good point. Mike?
Yes. Well, I everything that is being said here, I agree with wholeheartedly. But we're still left with the elephant in the room, as Eric just pointed out, that it all hinges on fair and transparent elections.
Yes.
That if we don't have that, we could have 10 million signatures on the recall effort, and the same machines that put Gavin Newsom in office will keep him there. And this is all dependent on what we do here. And that's why, you talk about leadership. Leadership not only takes on the problems in front of it, but we look down the road and we see that right now we're headed for a repeat of the special election that happened in Georgia, the special Senate election. That, all the same mechanisms were in place, the same mail-in ballots, as you mentioned earlier, John, are all going to be there for this special recall election.
That's it.
And unless we do something to get in front of that, and that's where this lawsuit becomes so paramount, because we're asking for the counties to safeguard the evidence, to not tamper with the machines. We want to see the ballots. We want to see the envelopes. And then we want the courts to look hard at the legislation that's been put in place that is in absolute violation of our constitutional rights. Relook at this and see what's happened, how the people of California have been victimized by this process. And if we can get there, then maybe we can turn the tide.
Well, look, as I mentioned, I had a surprise for you guys today. I'm gonna send. I have your attorney get in contact with me, or if Eric wants to handle it, whoever, somebody reach out to me. I want to get this cyber ops team in your camp to help you with the lawsuit. These guys are the very best at what they do.
Great.
I want to thank each and every one of you, Chris, Mike, James, Eric, for coming on the show today. Look, we've got to get this fixed. We've got to do it. We got to get out ahead of it. California, this is your life. This is your life. How do you want it to be for you and your family? You need to decide, and you better decide fast because it's slipping away. Look, before we go today, I just want to take a moment of silence once again for Rush Limbaugh and his family. God bless you. God bless America. Have a great afternoon.